Alrighty, guys. Well, because Andor Season 2 is coming up very soon, in fact, by the time you're listening to this episode, this segment of the Access Blockbusters Pod, Andor Season 2 might have already been out. And that's exciting, the first few episodes of Andor Season 2, because they're going to be releasing 3 episodes every single week. But today what I wanted to do is take a look back, just like we did with Daredevil Season 1 a while ago, and we're going to continue to do that with the Defenders saga as much as I can get to before Daredevil Born Again Season 2, which, well, we're not going to get into too much into that right now, but I wanted to do the same thing with Andor Season 1 before Andor Season 2 came out. I wanted to revisit Andor Season 1 3 years later. So, this is going to be a revisiting, a spoiler discussion of sorts, but more just me thinking about the show. I just finished rewatching it. The thoughts are fresh. I am excited to talk about how my thoughts may or may not have changed from the first time I saw Andor Season 1. And it's going to be structured very similarly to how I do my other rewatches. I've done tons of rewatches on this YouTube channel: Infinity Saga, Spider-Man, Star Wars, Phase 4. And so we're going to structure it in a very similar way. We're currently in the middle of the DCEU rewatch series. It's been on pause for a little bit. I have a couple episodes ready to go, just in case I have to step away for a little bit. So hopefully we'll be continuing that DCE rewatch with Justice League 2017 and Aquaman in the near future. But for those of you who are unfamiliar with the structure, the format of these rewatch little segments that we're going to do, and this one's not going to be as long, obviously, as the DCE ones, which are almost an hour each. This is just going to be a short little segment, but the structure, I'm just going to start out with some context of how I thought about the first season, my opinions when it came out, what was going on at the time, and then we'll dive in. I didn't take notes as I was rewatching the season, but more just, general thoughts. And I think that Andor Season 1 especially lends itself well to a revisiting, because you can talk about each of the 3 big arcs that were going on, and then the finale couple episodes as well. And then we'll talk about what how my thoughts and opinions may or may not have changed, and also what I'm looking forward to in Season 2 as well. So let's dive into it. Andor Season 1. When I first saw it, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I probably didn't watch it in the most ideal fashion. I think that there was a lot going on in my life at the time that I wasn't able to watch the show consistently on a week-to-week basis, so I was just kind of watching episodes here and there. And I think that just something about those episodes and watching them one at a time really was not conducive to my viewing experience of the show. And I've always said this. I've been saying this for a long time on the YouTube channel, because I've only seen Andor Season 1 once before this rewatch. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought that there were some great things in that first season. The speech by Luthen, a lot of the political drama, Andor as a character being built up, the prison break, all that kind of stuff. Thought it was good. I didn't love it, though. And some people were saying Andor is the best thing Star Wars has ever done. Andor is the best thing that Star Wars has done since the original trilogy. Andor is the great, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, maybe. I don't quite see it, for other people, but if that's what you think, that's awesome, and I celebrate that. But I just personally couldn't see it. As I watched Skeleton Crew this past December, I was like, oh no, this is amazing. And I'm not going to bury the lead. I think I still like Skeleton Crew more than Andor, because Skeleton Crew is just right up my alley. But I have to say, this time around with Andor Season 1, I loved it. I really loved it. It's not my favorite thing Star Wars has ever done. In fact, I would still probably put Rogue One above it, but I really enjoyed it. And one of the things I think, as we kind of transition into my thoughts here, that I think benefits Andor Season 1 so much is binging it, surprisingly. I don't think the week-by-week episode structure that they were doing, I know that they released a couple episodes at a time in certain parts. I think they released all 3 of the first episodes at once, and then they kind of went week by week after that. I don't think it did the show any favors. I do think this show was specifically structured with those arcs in mind, that some of the middle episodes kind of, don't work as well as standalone episodes. And I think that, you can say, well, you're meant to see this as one big story, and you're meant to see the arcs as their own individual stories. But the release structure does play a part in this, because if we're watching this in real time, then these episodes are going to be standalone, right? Now, we're going to have to see how Season 2 fares, because they're going to be releasing each individual mini arc in one go. Episodes 1 through 3, 4 through 6, 7 through 9, 10 through 12, right? So we'll see if that improves it. But I did find that some of the middle episodes, if I was just, happening to watch it on its own and then not being able to watch the next episode until the next day, they were a little bit slower. And I think that they didn't come to a natural resolution for the episode itself. It was more just like, okay, this is the middle chunk, wait till the next one. And luckily, in this case, I could just hit next episode and move on right into the next episode, which is just a continuation of the entire story arc that was going on. But I don't think that they functioned super well. So maybe that had a part to play in why I didn't love Andor Season 1. But let's go through those little arcs, right? We have the first arc here, which is Andor's backstory and his beginnings on Ferrix and the beginning of really the entire season. And then we have the second arc, which is on Aldhani. The third arc, which is it starts with an N, Nakima or something, 5, the prison planet, so the prison breakout arc that goes from episodes, I guess 7 through 10, right? 7 through 10, because 10 is the prison break episode. And then 11 and 12 is sort of the finale. And so let's just go through them one by one. We start out here with Andor, right? Andor on Ferrix. And what I love about this show is that it really takes care of its characters. Andor is a fully fleshed out 3-dimensional character. I'm not going to lie. I think that parts of his backstory on he was pretending to be Kenari. I forget. Was it Kenari? I don't remember what his home planet was called. But I'm not going to lie. His backstory with his sister and his original people and Marva rescuing him or taking him, because that's up for debate. But I don't think that part was super interesting to me, quite honestly. And I know that a couple times throughout the season, his sister is brought up. I don't know, frankly, if his sister is going to be a big plot point in season 2. I suspect that she'll come up again. Maybe she'll even be a part of one of the story arcs in season 2. But I didn't find that quite as interesting. So, that was one part of the first little arc that I thought wasn't as compelling as the rest of the show. That being said, I love all the characters. Bix is great. B, the droid, great. Marva, amazing. She's awesome. And all the other characters that we get to meet throughout the first 3 episodes, really setting the stage for what I think is, a really natural transition, because we see Andor. He's very, he doesn't necessarily have a moral code per se, but he's not a bad person. He's just sort of looking out for himself and Marva. And so he's not like Han Solo in that sense, right? He's not the same as that. But he definitely is on the fence, right? He's just looking out for himself in a world where the Empire has been taking over. And then you see him come face to face with Stellan Skarsgård. Say that 10 times fast. Stellan Skarsgård's Luthen. And Luthen, offers him the chance to join the fledgling rebellion, right? And says, don't you want to be part of something greater? And so we kick off the series from there. So I really thought the first 3 episodes were great because it showed Andor, like, who is this guy? Where is he from? Ferrix, right? Ferrix becomes just as much of a character as anyone else in this entire series, which I think is a great thing, right? The groundedness of this show as well. I think that, you don't have to have lightsabers for it to feel like Star Wars, because it's not like Tony Gilroy came in, Tony Gilroy being the showrunner of Andor, and he said, I'm just going to do my own random sci-fi thing, and just made something completely outside of Star Wars. There are parts that you don't feel like you're quite in Star Wars per se, but there are always little things here and there that remind you you're on Star Wars. Coruscant is so true to what Coruscant was, right? There are even little mentions of, Canto Bight, the stormtrooper outfits, the TIE fight. Like, it's so clearly Star Wars, but it's shown from a different perspective of war and political drama and espionage, and I love that. So that's the first arc. Second arc here on Aldhani is actually, I will say, I did love the prison break arc. So I'll say prison break is probably my favorite arc, but this one, it really was strong because you get to meet all these characters, right? You have Val and Cinta and Skis. Eben Moss Bacharach. This cast is crazy names. Eben Moss Bacharach. I didn't know he was in Andor. I at the time when I watched Andor season 1, I didn't know who Eben Moss Bacharach was, and now obviously he's going to be the Thing in Fantastic Four: First Steps. He was also in The Bear, so good to see him. I just completely forgot about the fact that he was in the show. But again, really executing the heist here, right, in this chunk, and I think that it shows the relationships between the characters being tested. We also, on the other side of of the galaxy, we get to see Coruscant and Mon Mothma, and I think that if you had told me, pitched me on paper, right, Andor season 1 is going to deal with Mon Mothma, of course, trying to finance the rebellion and figure out her financial problems. Okay, pause. That on its own. On paper, I would have been like, yeah, sure, we'll see how that goes. And then the other big thing, her other big story arc in season 1 is her marital problems. I would have been like, yeah, okay, let's see how that goes. Mon Mothma is probably one of the strongest characters in this entire show. Her the tense relationship between her and her husband is really compelling, actually, and her daughter as well. And that ties into, of course, the money problems at the end because of the whole betrothal system that goes on in from the planet that she's from. And obviously Val is her cousin as well. So that, that plays a big part into, again, just the relationship with her and the rebellion, her and Luthen, her and Tay, I believe, the guy who's helping her with her money, her role in the Senate. I think in Andor Season 2's trailer, we get to see her in the Senate, having a big scene there. And I think that's going to play a big role. So Mon Mothma and everything that's happening on Coruscant, and also with Luthen, the double-sided nature of Luthen, being able to slip into that character on Coruscant so quickly. I love it. I think that it's all fantastic because this is the kind of drama that I love. It's showing the inner workings of how you are going to slip under the nose politically of an empire. You're going to be smart about it. You're going to be covert about it, but you're going to make it work. And I think that is fantastic. I love that. So super happy about that. Super happy about that arc. But anyways, back on Aldhani, right? I love how it continues to build. Like I said, the middle episode, it's not like you don't remember it as the middle episode if you think about the whole arc, but if you were watching it week by week, and I don't remember exactly how frequently these episodes came out, like whether it was one at a time, but I believe it was. And again, the middle episodes are just not meant to be viewed on their own. That's my belief, based on what I was seeing there. So, and I love obviously the eye at the end as well, and the manifesto that gets reread at the end of the series. Prison Break, though, episodes 7 through 10 is my favorite arc of the show. Andy Serkis is phenomenal as Kino Loy. He is fantastic. And this is truly the turning point for Andor, because even at the end of Aldhani, Andor is like, I get it, I see what this is all about, but I just want out. I just want the money, and I just want out. But here, right, he's really starting to think, we need to break out because the Empire is oppressive. We're not going to get out of this jail. And we need to do it. And the Prison Break episode, I will say, because I'm not going to say Andor is the best thing Star Wars has ever done. The Prison Break episode 10, is probably one of the best things that Star Wars has ever done. And that episode not only has the prison break, I think, also has Luthen's speech to Lonnie. And my goodness, that episode is just a glorious 45 minutes of television. It is fantastic. If you haven't just rewatched that episode alone, I would recommend rewatching the entire series or the entire just arc of 7 through 10 to get that build up, but it is fantastic. Just the fact that, the Empire, right, is so, the whole point of this show is that the Empire is so smug and they just don't care, and they're finally starting to figure it out. And I guess we should touch upon Cyril Khan and Deidre Miro. Cyril is such a weird character, such a creepy character. I honestly, I don't hate him or anything like that. I just think I find him really strange, and I'm sure that we're supposed to find him very strange. I just don't quite know what his relationship with Deidre is supposed to be, and what it's going to turn into in season 2. It's very weird. It's almost romantic in a weird sense, but it's this weird stalkerish infatuation. I don't know. I don't love it. I do love the stuff with Deidre Miro, though, where she's really trying to go after Andor and I think make a name for herself as well in the ISB, and all the inner workings of the Empire, also super interesting as well. So those two characters will definitely play a part in season 2. But yeah, the Prison Break episode, really fantastic. Now I will say, I think the last couple episodes are perhaps not my favorite of the whole series. I'm not going to say that they're bad by any means. I like what they're going for, especially in episode 12, where you get to see the rebellion, like a mini rebellion, play out, and you get to see Marva's words inspire the rebellion. I will say episode 12, perhaps not my favorite episode of the series, because it just felt kind of not anticlimactic. That's the wrong word, because a lot of stuff happens, right? People are fighting and overtaking the stormtroopers, and Bix and Andor escape, and you get to, like, again, it's the culmination of Ferrix, right? It just, it felt like at certain points a lot of just fighting, and hand to hand fighting, which again I think is understandable. And also the parade at the beginning as well, and Luthen's just kind of watching. But I do love the ending, right? Andor, it's finally, after everything Andor has seen, he's like, take me in. I want to join the rebellion. So look, I mean, I don't think this is my favorite thing Star Wars has done, like I said many times throughout this rewatch, but it is truly this rewatch. And this is why I do this, guys. I mean, seriously, people ask me, friends ask me, like, why would you rewatch things? This is why. Because now I can take with me the fact that I love Andor. I used to like Andor, and now I love it. And that's something that you just can't get if you sit there and think about it for a long time. You just gotta rewatch it sometimes. And who knows, you run the risk sometimes of not liking it as much, and that's totally fine as well. But I'm just so happy that I rewatched Andor, because to me, it shows the potential that Star Wars has on TV. I'm so excited for Andor Season 2. I think, again, there are some things here and there that I didn't love, but overall, really, really happy that I rewatched Andor Season 1. So, guys, what do you think about Andor Season 1? What was your favorite episode? What was your favorite little arc that they did in there? And are you excited for Season 2? Let me know in the comments down below.